Here we are again with news from the website prostatewarriors.com. This week, we just have a couple of updates. As usual, before a big oncology conference, everyone is being secretive.
They certainly are. But what we do have is, I think, pretty significant.
I agree. The two stories we've got really seem to pivot the conversation. It's not just about killing cancer anymore. It feels like it's more about, surviving the cure.
That's a great way to frame it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have a new clinical trial that's trying to tackle the cardiovascular toxicity of hormone therapy.
Okay.
And then a study out of Norway that suggests, well, that we might have been looking at tumor boundaries all wrong.
Let's start with that clinical trial then. It's for a drug called Teverelix. And the FDA just cleared a phase 2b study. What really caught my eye right away was the recruitment list. They aren't just looking for advanced prostate cancer.
No, they're being very specific. They specifically want men with a coronary artery calcium score over 400.
Or men who've recently had a major cardiac event.
Exactly. And that's bold. Usually, trials exclude those guys to keep the data clean,
Right. They're seen as too high risk.
But we have to face the stat. Cardiovascular disease accounts for, roughly 30% of deaths in men with prostate cancer. You can't ignore that.
30%. That is a huge blind spot. So the standard of care, the GnRH agonists, they can actually increase the risk of a major heart event by 5 or 6 times in this group.
In this specific group, yes.
Why is that? Is it just the lack of testosterone?
It's more about the delivery mechanism. The standard drugs, the agonists, they overstimulate the receptors at first.
Okay.
And this causes a huge testosterone surge. They call it a flare, before the levels finally crash.
And that hormonal roller coaster is what does the damage.
Immense stress, especially on arterial plaque. It's a real danger.
Whereas Teverelix is an antagonist, so it works differently.
Completely differently. It just blocks the receptor immediately. From the get-go, no surge, no flare.
So no roller coaster.
No roller coaster. The theory is you get the necessary hormone suppression, the medical castration, but you do it without, tipping a fragile cardiovascular system over the edge.
And the trial design looks pretty tight on that point. They want to confirm castration levels by day 29.
And sustain them all the way through day 155, with a 90% probability, which is a high bar.
And they're trying to find the best dose to do it.
Right. It's a dose optimization study, a mix of intramuscular and subcutaneous injections. They want to prove they can flatline those testosterone levels just as effectively as the older drugs, but safely.
Which is a perfect segue to our second topic, precision. If Teverelix is about treating more safely, this Spatial Multi-Omics study is all about diagnosing more accurately.
This is fascinating. Researchers took tissue samples from 10 to 15 years ago and just reanalyzed them.
With new technology.
With incredible new tech. So instead of the old way where you basically blend a biopsy like a smoothie to see what gains are in there.
You just get an average of the whole thing.
You get an average. Exactly. This new way, they treat it like a 3D map.
Keeping the geography intact.
Yeah. They can look at gene expression in relation to exactly where the cells were sitting. And they found that aggressive tumors have a distinct fingerprint, a signature.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the big discovery, was it?
Oh, the real breakthrough is what they call the field effect.
The shadow the tumor casts.
It's eerie. When they looked at the tissue adjacent to the tumor cells that look perfectly normal under a standard microscope, the molecular map told a totally different story. Those normal cells already showed signs of metabolic disruption and inflammation.
Wow. So the cancer is essentially corrupting the neighborhood before it even physically moves in.
That is the perfect way to describe it, yes. The healthy-looking tissue is already reacting to the tumor's presence long before our eyes can see it.
This feels like it could be a huge part of the solution to overtreatment. I mean, we treat so many men who might have been fine with active surveillance, and we expose them to risks like incontinence and erectile dysfunction for no reason.
That is the ultimate goal here. If we can turn this shadow signature into something simple, like a blood or a semen test,
then you could distinguish the tiger from the pussycat, so to speak.
Precisely. You could actually tell a patient, yes, you have cancer, but the molecular shadow is very faint. We can watch and wait.
It's moving us away from just guessing based on a visual slide and toward making decisions based on the actual biological reality of the tumor.
Exactly. Safer drugs for the heart on one hand, and smarter eyes on the tumor on the other.
A very compelling combination. Stay strong and fight on.